on gun channels right at the moment. Just waiting for YouTube to catch up. I don't know if they are or not. Okay, now the pictures come up. Okay, we're here. All right, welcome live from the crossroads of America to Rick's Life as I See It. A 1 hour or so talk show. We go as long as we feel that we got something to talk about. And it's about guns, politics, or anything else that crosses our mind. Also answer questions from the listener. Just put them in the chat box. Or send me an email at rickslife@gmail.com or at spottedrick@gmail.com. Also, if you can never make the show, you got to leave early, you can always catch the audio file I download to Podbean, Stitcher, and iTunes, normally within 24 hours. I have a Patreon page, also, that it's listed up here on my banner. Plus, it's below my thing on YouTube and on gun channels. So there we go. I mean, right now we've got John Brown Productions, Tall Man Pete in the chat on YouTube. And we got Tony doing double duty. He's on gun channels there. And he's on the panel right now. Who else we got? Roosted Films just came in. Good man. So, I mean, it's getting close to Christmas. People are out doing their last minute shopping and stuff. So I don't expect a big crowd.
It's also nice weather across the middle part of the country, too.
Yeah, people are out shooting and all that kind of good stuff. Yeah.
And let's be honest, we go until either Rick or the cats get hungry.
That's right. That's right. That's how it happens on a Saturday afternoon. You know? Actually, I've been invited out. I've been invited over to one of my cousin's house tomorrow for a little get-together, family and stuff. For dinner and stuff. So hell, I'll go.
How many damn cousins you got?
Oh, here I got so many I don't even know half of them. Now you got to remember my father's family. I think there was 5 or 6. He had 5. I think it was. Hang on, was it 5? Yeah. So I think he had. There was him, Junior, Gene, then there was Mamie. And Frida, yeah. There's he's got 2 other brothers and sisters. He had, and their cousins. You know, then of course it's been years now. Now they've got kids, so I got second cousins. You know, there's loads of them. I even met some. I met one the other day that he knew who I was, but I didn't know who in the hell he was. You know, hey, Patrick's in the room. So now there's a lot of India. That's one of the reasons I moved here. At least I'll have family. You know what I'm saying?
Back when I was young and my grandmother was still alive, we were pretty tight with all of our cousins, way out to like third cousins on my mom's side of the family. Now, on my dad's side, I wouldn't know any of my cousins to stand right next to them.
Yeah. See, now all these here are cousins from my dad's side because this is where my father's from. He's from Indiana. Eckerty, Indiana, in Crawford County. So there we go. And actually, I mean, it's nothing to be proud of. But as everybody knows, my last name's Mitchell. And they used to be big around Eckerty. You know, and they were known as being mean. You know?
Don't surprise me.
And 2 of them, actually, it was back in the 20s, 30s, I think it was. 2 of them got arrested for murder. But they got the conviction overturned because there wasn't enough proof.
Well,
did they actually shoot him? I'm not going to say they did, but it's...
So they couldn't find enough witnesses that would come forward.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
You know?
You're probably kin to the dudes who pulled off the first train robbery in this country.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I even got it, not after me, but after the family name, we even got a creek called Mitchell Creek that runs down there through Crawford County, through the valley where my where my father come from.
I
You know?
can't remember them brothers' name, but they're Southern Indiana, man. That was where the first train robbery happened in this country.
I wouldn't be surprised I have some relative connected to it. You know? Yeah. I mean, they used to make great moonshine and all kinds of shit back there in the wilds.
Well, hell, everybody did, man.
Yeah.
You're talking boonies now. There just wasn't a tavern on every street corner back in the day. There wasn't a street corner on every street corner.
No, hey, where I'm at now, you don't have to drive far to be out in the boonies still. You know what I'm saying?
Now, I lived about probably 60 miles south and 100 miles east of you for a while in east central Kentucky.
Yeah.
And, man, there's areas of that son of a bitch that people ain't even seen a fucking car yet.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm exaggerating, of course, but, man, there is some bad country there.
Out there, I mean, out the area where my actual father was actually lived, right? I mean, it was dirt roads back then, and it's still dirt roads today.
The road to get into our house had a freaking bridge over it that was two freaking tree logs laid down and then rough cut sawmill planks on top of it.
Yeah, that sounds about right. We're here. Yeah.
And my stepdad drive a 2-ton truckload of wood over that thing. I'm like, I ain't riding with you.
Well, the town of Eckerty is smaller than what it was when I was a kid. There used to be a general store and a mill and a post office. All that's left now is the post office. The mill's gone. The general store is gone. You know, but it's got a railroad track running through the town.
Well,
no train station, but it's got a railroad track running through it.
Say back around the turn of the century, the migration to the bigger cities was becoming prevalent because of electricity and industry. So, a lot of these little towns died.
Yeah. I know back in the 40s, before my father, I believe my father joined the Air Force in 1952. So late 40s, early 50s, he actually worked on the he actually worked on the railroad. He actually drove spikes for a couple of years. I always forget that, but that's what he used to do before he joined the Air Force.
My dad worked for railroad too, man. He was a switchman brakeman on the Rock Island line until they closed it.
Well, anyway, I've rambled on long enough waiting for people to join us. And I said it's going to be a quiet crowd today, but
hey David,
Vanessa, good to see
very
you.
much right on that Massachusetts or Maryland thing. Sorry.
Oh, he
I was
didn't.
wrong.
No, I don't have one. He was thinking of my Massachusetts one.
Yeah, I was figuring, it's pretty impossible for a Maryland resident to get one, and it's super, super impossible for a non-resident. But I didn't know if, with your back condition and different medical issues, if Maryland might have granted you one just because of that.
No, and out of the 7 PCWs I have, not one of them is recognized by Maryland.
Well, I think Maryland figures that if you're too scared to be in this state, just don't fucking come.
The thing that makes Maryland such a difficult state to be so ignorant about their rules is the shape of Maryland and the size, because Delaware, Virginia, West Virginia, all the surrounding states, if you want to go past, you can cut through Maryland in no time and get to, if you want to go to West Virginia from Pennsylvania or to Northern Virginia from Pennsylvania, you just cut right across Maryland and you're there. But if you get pulled over, and you got a gun on you that Maryland says you're not supposed to have, now you got a whole rack of trouble for what could be a half an hour trip through the state.
Yeah, yeah. Well, exactly. I mean, that's as you said, that's the reason why I went the long way around when I was driving to come here to move here. I didn't want to go not through Maryland. I didn't want to go through New Jersey. You know, because if you go down through and I didn't want to go through New York. I didn't want to get close to New York City or New Jersey. I would have clipped just the corner of New Jersey to get into Pennsylvania. You know, and I wasn't willing to do it. That's why I went the long way. So I just cut across the shortest part in New York I could get. It was 125 miles.
Coward.
Yes, and I had my guns locked away, like the federal law says you have to have them, and kept to just a couple of miles above the speed limit, and just drove through New York without stopping. So that's how I done it. So there we go. Anyway, last week's quiz. Might as well do it and get it out of the way. The question was, in the Marlowe series in 1969 with James Gardner, what was the gun he carried? Now, let me go back here for a second. Let me find what I'm looking for here. I had that he had the Smith & Wesson Model 10 snub nose, right? And also, what have I got written down here? I also have the Colt Python snub nose, which is the same thing, basically, isn't it? Wasn't that the Model 10?
No.
Okay, I see where I've got it written down. He had both. He was seen with both of them, the Model 10 and the Colt Python. That's it. So that's the answers I got. And not only 3 of you answered.
I have got to roll, man. I'll be back here in about 30 or 45 minutes.
Okay.
Take it easy, Tony.
So only 3 of you answered my quiz, but that's okay. I don't mind. That means 3 of you have a chance of winning not that one, this one. Stick to your guns, America hat. So,
nice hat.
That is a nice hat. And the one for the question for today, this is the very last one. Had about, 12 or 15 hats, I can't remember, sent to me by one of my great listeners to give away. This is the last one here, and I got a doozy of a question. So, anyway, okay, let me choose the winner out of the 3. Here we go, using my little thing here. Let's see, draw now. Who we got? Ohio 45 ACP is the winner.
Nice. He hasn't won yet.
Well, I think he won early on, but I don't think he's won a hat out of all the hats I've given away.
I expected you to say Travis T.
Yeah.
No, I'm afraid.
That guy's winning too much.
He's on a roll.
Yeah. So, Ohio 45 ACP is the winner. It's unusual to see. He's normally on gun channels. I don't see him today. But I'll email him and let him know he won if he doesn't show up. So, there we go. Okay, on to my couple of topics I listed there. Well, first thing I want to know is I heard the other day, plus this morning when I was setting up this show and getting YouTube ready and the the Hangout stuff, YouTube kept asking me if I wanted to do a survey. So I clicked on it, and it said, "How great do you think YouTube is doing?" I put lousy. I clicked the very worst one, and I was going through, and then it started asking questions about other platforms, right? And it says, "Have you heard of these?" And it listed Patreon, Twitter, Facebook, and a couple others I've never even heard of. Have you ever heard of it? And of course, I clicked a couple. Yeah, I've heard of this one. Then it started asking me questions about Patreon. Do I get money from them? Do I have them? Do I have it affiliated with my YouTube account? And I thought, what the fuck's it got to do with you? You know. So, and the strange thing was, it's rigged that way because I didn't finish it. I just closed the page down and carried on while I was doing. But then later on, it kept popping up, so I clicked it again, and I thought it would take me back to where I finished. Well, it started over. It started from the beginning again, so I started all the questions from the beginning. Then it asked me, I got to that page where it says, do you have, any of these? And I clicked no on all of them. And then it went to a totally different set of questions, all to do with YouTube. Had nothing to do with Patreon. What they're trying to find out is if you're earning money from somebody else. Because I heard they're trying to stop us linking to Patreon on YouTube. Has anybody else heard that?
Yeah, there's a guy named Sargon of Akkad that Patreon kicked off because he's too controversial. And my tinfoil hat gets real tight when I see those surveys. I used to, in my feed, there'd be videos that I wasn't interested in, so you could click on them and say not interested, and it would go away. Then they'd start sending me emails and wanting to know why I clicked off those. So I stopped doing that. And then whenever the survey pops up, I just skip it because, like I said, my tinfoil hat tightens up. And the way I see those surveys is just a way to stick us in a corner. So they can, like you said, take your Patreon away or find out what you're doing on your channel and harass you about it.
Oh, yeah. I just I done everything negative on this last one I did. How do you feel that we are being transparent? No, you're not. Are we helping you to expand? No, you're not. So I don't know if I'm going to get an email from them or whatever, or they're going to be monitoring me for a little while. So I don't care. We got guntube.org, or we got Gunstreamer. We got other ones we can go to. But of course, as we always say, it's like the NRA, right? That's how I'm putting YouTube. Is you might not like them, but they're the biggest game in town for what we do. So I don't know. You got to live with them, I guess. Till something better comes along. So, anyway, I just wanted to know if anybody had heard about them trying to stop us from using Patreon, or they don't want us to advertise that we have a Patreon page on YouTube. That's the way I heard it.
Yeah, they also have that flag that comes up now with the live feeds when you first log in and you're watching a live feed. It says, hey, be nice or something. That little warning. That's since for a week or so now. But
yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, you're right. Anyway, okay, back to my next question. I was reading an article yesterday. The Parkland Commission down there where the shooting was. They done all their thing, and the Parkland Commission voted 13-1 to arm teachers. So
nice.
Yeah, so they finally realized, that as much as the people say no, even the commission who done the investigating said yes.
Oh, wait.
What they're saying is not every teacher, they're not going to force a teacher to do it. If a teacher is willing and wants to do it, by all means, they go through special training and everything else, then they'll be allowed to carry. That is their recommendation.
Did they say what they want to arm them with? Is it?
No, it ain't pucks. It's firearms.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's definitely firearms.
Okay, just making sure.
Oh, yeah. And which I thought was great. That should. But is that going to hit the mainstream media? Has anybody heard it on CNN or MSNBC? I haven't.
The only time it'll hit the mainstream media is if a white teacher shoots a black student.
Oh, yeah. You're right. I hate to say it, but you're right. And so...
that'll help. It's still not, gun-free zones and everything, though.
I don't know if it made the major news, but here yesterday, a school shooting was stopped. The kid died. He, I didn't hear the whole thing. I heard it on the news when I was on my radio. Somebody had reported that the kid was going to, he took all his guns. I think it was his father actually reported him. He took all his guns from his house. Why is a high school kid got guns? You know what I'm saying? His long gun. If he's 8, I mean, he must be underage. I don't know all the details. Well, anyway, he went to the school, and the police came up to him, and he shot at him. Of course, they dived for cover. Then he ran into the school, shot, and the police finally was shooting at him, and he took his own life. But so and another mass shooting was stopped here in Indiana. But the thing is, I mean, he heads to the school because it's a soft target, and they know that. The police, it was the police, luckily. But if he had done that and went to the school and a teacher was shooting at him, he took his own life, because 9 times out of 10, these guys are cowards. They attack schools because they know nobody is going to shoot back at them unless they're going to throw hockey pucks at them. And personally, if some guy had a firearm and they gave me a hockey puck, well, I would say, well, who's going to stand up to distract him while I stand up and throw it at him? Because the time you stood up and throw it at me, he shot you. And the bullet travels faster than a hockey puck.
Well, and I've been hit with actual hockey pucks from like actual people playing hockey, and it hurts. It hurts a lot. No matter how much padding you have on, it hurts a lot. I'd rather get hit with 100 hockey pucks than one 22 long rifle.
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying it wouldn't hurt, but
plus, if you think about it, if you step into a room and there's one person throwing hockey pucks at you, who's the first person you're going to shoot? The kid with the hockey pucks.
Oh yeah. I think the only way the hockey puck would work is if 30 kids stood up at the same time and threw them like in a barrage at them. As you said, it hurts. It might make them out of the room, but I doubt it.
No.
No. I don't know, but anyway, it's the world we live in today.
It takes us back to the Stone Age. I said it the other day, the firearm with humanity to become the most efficient defense weapon, the most efficient offensive weapon out there. That's why cops don't carry hockey pucks, because the gun exists. A hockey puck is absolutely, there is no match. I don't care how good you are with nunchucks or a sword or your ninja throwing stars. There is no match for the firearm. If there was, that's what the military would be using instead of firearms.
Yeah, and I said it's become a dangerous world. Yes, I'm not. The world is. I think the world is more dangerous today than it was when I was a kid. I lived over here when I was a kid, and I used to walk to school. I was close enough that I didn't need to take a school bus, but I used to walk to school and stuff and didn't think nothing of it. But even in England, when I went to, I was only, 11? And I used to catch remember you look on the old British movies, the old double-decker bus? I used to catch one of those in the morning to go to school and catch one on the way home. All by myself. No problems. Today, honestly, today I wouldn't let my child do that on their own. The world is not, it's got worse. Now, why? I think it's society. We've let it happen, personally. But, hey, what can I say? Well, we have. We've let it happen. Things of, I don't want to sound sound, I don't know, a great word, but since both parents have to go out and earn a living, both parents have to work. So who looks after the kids? Most of the time you either leave them after school programs.
You got a lot of people with a bunch of free time on their hands now as well.
Yes.
50 years ago, everybody was busy. Now everybody's got a bunch of leisure time. So it's not like you got to be concerned about putting food on the table like you did 50 years ago. The priorities change. When you've got more free time, your priorities change.
Yeah. Also, yeah, you're right. But it's I'm trying to stay positive, and I keep getting on these negative things. So, moving on. Another good news. The Journal of American College of Surgeons done a study from 1990 was it in the 90s to 2015, and they discovered that more guns does not equal more crime. They said it stayed status quo. Crime didn't go up, crime didn't go down in their little study, but the more gun people had, crime did not rise. And that's from the medical. So that's from the medical profession. So the stuff's out there. It's just that I'm saying we, because the mainstream media at this moment is not going to push this kind of stuff. And I think we need to. So, well, there we go. Oh.
Yeah, you can look at all the states across America, and you see the states that got the most lax gun control laws are usually the safest. Then you look at Chicago or Illinois and Maryland, and you see that we've got all these draconian gun laws and gobs of violence still.
Yeah. Also, look at in the news lately. I'm reading it on Fox web channel that Venezuela, the people there are up in arms for an expression. They don't have any arms because they were all taken away from them. But they said that was the worst mistake they ever made, was giving up their firearms. Because the government said, "Oh, we'll take care of you. You don't need your firearms." Then the government turned on them, and they got nobody to defend themselves. And look at the country now. Venezuela used to be one of the richest countries in South America because of all the oil it's got. Now the inflation's running sky high. Their money ain't worth shit. Not much oil's getting produced because everybody's shooting each other. The army's telling people what to do. Nobody wants to work. It's terrible. Brazil's the same way. Brazil is another country that has gone off the rails that way too. So we're very lucky that we still have our rights to keep and bear arms. But unfortunately, I apologize, Patriot. I'm trying to stay positive. But I haven't seen anything to change my mind. I'm not saying it's going to happen in my lifetime, but say my grandchildren's lifetime, this country is going to be like the rest of the world. The guns are going to be gone. The Second Amendment will be there in writing only.
You don't want to know something positive? I found something positive today. My local gun range is giving 25% off their indoor yearly passes from now until Christmas. That seemed pretty positive to me.
Yeah.
So I re-upped.
The indoor gun range, because on my Facebook, I've still got them right. My indoor gun range I used to use in Indiana on Wednesdays, all day Wednesday, from opening to closing. Wednesdays free to women to go shoot.
Nice.
You know, which I thought was positive. You know, but we're outnumbered. I think we're outnumbered. You know, there's no. I think yes, there's millions of people who own guns, and there's millions of guns out there. But when I say we're outnumbered, the people who are vocal or into, you know, promoting the Second Amendment, we're outnumbered. The other ones aren't going to start doing anything until they've lost it.
Well, there's a lot of people that they're not going to speak up because they figure they're, you know, going to get on a list or some kind of craziness. But you got to decide on what's important, you know, sitting here and hoarding your stuff, or, you know, be a little vocal or do something. I don't know.
That's why I was mentioning last week that, and I have no idea how to organize anything like this or how much it would cost or if it's even possible. But to have our own collective, you know, it's great that the NRA's out there and Gun Owners of America out there and, you know, your local gun range and all that. But us gun channels, and you know what I mean by gun channels, GunTube, YouTube, but I like calling it the gun channels crew. We need to make sure that we stick together. And why can't we figure out a way? And like I said, you wouldn't call it the Gun Channels Collective, but just so everybody, you know, make a Gun Channels Collective where, and I always say it, if you care enough about it, you'll pay for it. And if we care enough about organizing, then I'll reach in my pocket and send whoever we elect treasurer the money, you know, monthly dues or whatever it takes to form our own thing. Because if it's not for, if I don't look out for you, Rick, and I don't look out for you, Patriot, who is? I can't rely on somebody else to have your back, Patriot. When I call you my friend, it's my duty to have your back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. It's really not.
You know, same just like with Night Strike. You know, Night Strike was tired of what was happening on YouTube, and all of us capitalists and conservatives and normal everyday thinking people say, if there's a product out there that's not way you like it, do your own. So Night Strike did. He went out and built his own thing. And why can't we do that? You know, we need the NRA because it is what it is, but we don't need to be dependent on the NRA forever if we can develop our own organization.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot with that as well. You know, you mentioned taking dues and things like that. There's a lot of things that is just basically making the choice. If you want to do something, if you want to be positive, if you want to not necessarily stick your neck out there, but basically put some kind of skin in the game, you know, you can do that. If you decide you don't want to do that, you know, I mean, there's a lot of people that are, you know, choose the latter of the two. But, you know, I don't feel it's, you know, something that you got to have, you know, huge money bankroll. I mean, you know, what's it cost us to do this right here? You know, it costs time, you know, energy, and obviously, you know, that time is money. But I don't know. The dues and all that kind of stuff, and I know it does make people do a little more if they know that they've actually contributed and that kind of thing. But, you know, I don't know. You still got to motivate those masses that are indifferent and they've got their stuff and, you know, want to play ostrich and stick their head in the sand and not do anything because, you know, they don't want people to know what they have or what they're doing, kind of thing. Which I guess, I mean, that's legitimate. I don't feel that way. I mean, I guess I do a little bit because, I mean, I'm not out there as myself. Yes, I got my little pretend internet anonymity, but mine's a little different. I don't want to be out there and have somebody notice me and, you know, single me out being the blind guy. But you know, I still do what I can. Yeah.
Oh, G-Webs has joined us, and I just remembered I forgot to post on the front page today. I normally do it every show. I forgot today.
We got it for you, no worries.
Oh, good man. Good man. So did you hear what David was saying about sort of like doing a collective type thing with all of us here in gun channels? Would that work?
No, not all of it. I just jumped in when I saw you guys were live.
Oh. Yeah, well, you know, like David was saying, all of us in gun channels, maybe we could start our own sort of, not, you know, we're never going to be as, well, you never know, like our own sort of two-way, what would be the best word for it, David?
Every second matters.
Well,
Yeah, every second matters.
Exactly.
Well, that was born from that frustration. So when you look at it, do you need another organization to fill a gap? No. I mean, it's dynamic.
Well, we need to push every second matters.
No, you don't have to push anything. Let me tell you the reasoning for every second matters and how it was born out of this similar frustration. When you've got any group of people, right, population of people, ours is pretty sizable, 360 million people live in this country. Ours is unique from other countries where they're pretty homogeneous. And we have, we are the result of a bunch of people who are frustrated and left other places which have ingrained paradigms that go back, traditions and things that go back to the beginnings of civilizations in some cases. People decided to change that and come to this country where the individual is valued and the individual rights are what allow us to all work together. And, so when we're talking about a population of people, this type of people, we're not all going to walk in lockstep. We're not socialists. We're not big state. We're not big religion. We're not monarchy. We don't have some institution that keeps us all together. So it's always going to be difficult to get a bunch of individuals to line themselves with any position other than some of the core ones, like the fundamental. We are, individuals, and that has value, and no state or other group of individuals has some power over us. So remember that's what we're starting with. We're starting with a bunch of individuals who are attempting to work together. So if we want some sort of perceived perfection in walking in lockstep, that is that's the opposite of our what we are, our cores. So with that in mind, the NRA, I think, has done fine for what it's done. It has a lot. So keeping in mind what the NRA is made up of, and of course the gun community and all the other organizations that are out there. We're made up of a bunch of people who have this is what we come from, and then we have all the influences of politics and media and culture and everything else that's affecting us each individually, and we're having to figure out ways to come together and still make movement or make positive efforts in a direction. So you can look at the organizations that exist and look at their failures and suggest that it could be done better, and there's nothing wrong with starting over again. In 1975, the Gun Owners of America saw the issues with the politics and the people who had issues with individual rights, and they started the Gun Owners of America to work towards that. And they've had successes and failures over the decades. Alan Gottlieb started the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms in 1971, a few years before all that, as a result of the 1968. And a couple of years later, the Second Amendment Foundation. So we have organizations that saw strategic flaws in the organization of a giant group, for being able to tackle specific issues that are being presented to us or to our community or to our values from the opposite side. So instead of taking things apart, what we tried to do with Every Second Matters is realize that we are in a situation where we have lots of effort from lots of individuals, and sometimes one individual is promoting or encouraging efforts in multiple directions. So instead of adding something else to all that, instead of adding another, let's say organization to effort towards maybe a gap or some, missing element in the overall objectives, instead we created Every Second Matters as a way for us, the individuals who are frustrated and interested and willing to put effort forth, to allow us a way to amplify the existing messages. So instead of taking everything down and starting over, which is a tendency when you look at something and you say it's a mess and it's not working. Our tendency is to say, clear the board, start over with, new goals and new, direction with the resources we have and build them towards, that direction. Problem is when the direction changes, either through outside influence or for our own, interest, we have to then disassemble and to put it all back together again. So I don't think that's the only option. So Every Second Matters isn't designed to be another voice, another alternative or a separate voice. It's designed to enhance. It's designed to allow anyone who wants to, without any obligation or what's the word, like any, you're not, no obligation to go in and effort when you can. Think of Smeggy. He's a perfect example. He has an ambition to work towards the Second Amendment, but he doesn't have the ability to do it every day. But he can do something once a month for 20 minutes and put that together with other people's efforts to, help move culture and awareness in a direction that we all, feel is necessary. So you can definitely start your own organization. There's nothing wrong with that. I've been trying to explore that on the Minuteman Project to show people what organizations are there. There are a lot of new organizations. Let's go backwards. Black Guns Matter, FPC, NAGR, USCCA, Pink Pistols. These are all within the last 10 years, that are filling in gaps or hitting agendas that aren't covered by the NRA, the big group, the bigger groups like Second Amendment and Gun Owners of America, and then the groups that hit some of the larger population segments of our population, like the Jews for firearms ownership, or the doctors and some of the ones that have been around since the 90s. So we do have new organizations starting. They're totally valid and it's worth your efforts. I'm just suggesting we don't need to tear down the old stuff in creating the new stuff. And there's value in everyone's efforts. So there's ways that we can all just simply pull on the same rope. We don't have to grab a new rope every time. That's one of our failures as a community, because we're individuals and we're willing to drop the rope when the rope isn't working. The problem is we have a lot of ropes laying on the ground, and some of them have value. So Every Second Matters role is to help people decipher what's going on with the spaghetti of ropes or the knots that might be there, and to help us as a bunch of individuals to pick up those ropes and pull on them and help the organizations that already started to do things. And I guess the overall thing is, once we're all working on that as efficiently as possible, we'll see even more blatantly where we're missing gaps, where where a segment of the population is not being addressed. And once we have systems in place that make that more and more aware, more visible, we'll also be better able to quickly and efficiently fill those gaps, either with existing organizations or new ones.
And definitely having a place where you can kind of go to see where each group is and kind of what direction they're going, being able to tie those together so that it's not, I don't actually think you need another organization, but just having the opportunity to look at all the ones that are there and say, well, hey, these three are kind of going the right direction that I can help out in. Obviously that's going to be a lot easier than, me just sitting in front of a computer and trying to find all that information. Because just the information day to day and week to week changes so much. Definitely, contributing to like the website there. There's some things that I want to start doing on there so that it does, state to state, there's a lot of different groups. And obviously tying those groups with other groups that are pushing for the same thing. Because as long as we're moving this, the basic same direction, I don't see an issue of if it veers off a little bit.
Yeah, you're right. So I need to get more involved with the Every Second Matters website. I used to do a bunch for Rhode Island, but since I moved, I haven't done any for that. I haven't even looked at Indiana. So,
and a lot of that effort, it's I look at it, maybe a little different. I have a little bit of spare time now, versus when 20 years ago, I didn't have time that, was a lot of time. I mean, I still had time, and you can make time for stuff, instead of sitting and watching some stupid show, I could, put more effort into stuff. But, just like I've been trying to say with the staying positive, and because it's easier to be negative, and it takes hard work to stay positive and to do positive. Obviously the other side, it's easy to say bad things and have, other people follow it because it takes no work to be negative. So that little bit of positive, I think if you do take an effort, and even if it seems like something small, but there's a million people out here that do something little small, it's not so small anymore. There's a lot of drops in the river kind of thing, as long as it's going the same direction, or same general direction even. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I just, when you get the people that are screaming negative and stuff, it turns me off. Even, especially if it's on my side, that it just, I don't know. I don't see productiveness in.
Another thing that I need to stop. I mean, I've been thinking about this, and I think I know what my problem is I'm staying too plugged in to 24/7 news, and there's nothing but negative.
That's for sure.
I need to unplug from it. Watch it for a couple of hours, then totally get away from it.
I've actually done that in the last month, where, I mean, before I knew everything that was going on, good or bad. And I mean, I followed everything, but it takes so much time, and it drags you so far down. You don't have that energy to stay positive and to do positive things.
I think that's what's
definitely.
To be honest with you.
Yeah, but I won't even turn it on. I mean, I'll listen a little bit or read stuff, but it's not a constant thing that's playing in the background.
Well, that's why I value gun channels, and more importantly, you guys who actually are, use gun channels quite a bit, because I can check in once a day, maybe watch the lobby for a bit, and if there's anything on the radar that's at all important, that'll be the murmur. Like, it'll be talked about, and then if there's something that's important but not critically, just paying attention for an hour or something, you're going to hear it, and so that becomes, again, sort of that extract of what's going on, so you don't have to go scour and look through 80% of garbage, agenda based, trying to manipulate you, and then for the couple of kernels of actual news that are worthy of discussion or interest.
When I was doing the early watch, one of the gigs of it was to go through all the damn gun news I could find, and there at the end, I couldn't do it anymore. I mean, I'm just like, I ain't doing this. I'm going out of my friggin' mind, and I quit really keeping up on the gun news. There's so much that's just crap.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I'm feeling burnt out right now, and that's because I've been watching, the media, for 24, it's on 24/7, and it wears you down.
Well, that thing where I was saying about the positive and negative, I mean, it's easy to see, because I mean, if you throw out a topic and none of us like it, it's easy to have an hour, yell fest about Pelosi. You throw that out there, everybody's got a joke, everybody's got this, that, and that's easy, because it doesn't take any thinking, if you don't like something, so to sift through all that news and all that negatives, because it's easy for them, because if they don't like, us or the firearms or whatever, it's going to be easy for them. And so that's just one of those things, where you're sifting through all that negative. Well, it's easy for them to push that out, and it does take hard work with the positive stuff. So I think I already said that, didn't I? Yeah. I told you I needed to take a nap. I went to the range this morning, had a great time, clean pistols, did all sorts of stuff, even tore down a buckmark pistol first time today with my eyes closed. And I was about to take a nap, and I said I'd check email, and there was Rick sitting there. So here I am.
And I appreciate it. I really do. I really do. Anyway, the other thing on my list was it as of Tuesday? Was it Tuesday or Wednesday? Anything bigger than 10 round magazines were banned in New Jersey. And the governor has said he has not ruled out using the state police to go house to house. Just, now, I know it's New Jersey, but that's another negative thing. I mean, it's pretty sad when a state goes like that. It really is.
Now I got a question.
They voted him in. Yeah, go on.
Did you hear this come out of the governor's mouth?
I read it on a website.
There you go. See, there's so much bullshit out there that unless you heard it from his mouth, it's hard to believe that shit.
Well, from what I read on the website, this is technically a quote from him, from the governor's office. But anyway, I mean, you're not. But anyway, if you didn't get rid of your magazines in New Jersey, under that law, you are a felon today. If you have magazines that hold more than 10 rounds, I mean, isn't it the Glock and the SIG and stuff come with standard 15 round magazines? Now, if you have one of those, you're a felon in New Jersey. Automatic. Boom,
both my Smiths are 16 plus 1.
Well, now, see, if you lived in New Jersey, you would be a felon if you still had those magazines. In the eyes of the way the law is written. Now,
I'm not saying that the governor didn't say that. I mean, I don't know one way or the other, but
I think if they went, because don't they have some sort of not gun registry, but they know who owns guns and stuff in New Jersey? I think. I mean, like in Rhode Island. I mean, like you guys in Illinois there. They know who a gun owner is and who isn't, because you have to get that license, don't you? You have to have
a FOIA card.
So right now we're talking about stuff theoretically, and we're not in all those states. We don't know, right? So Every Second Matters is designed to have a section for each state. And if someone would champion each state and put stuff in there, like I've already put the Second Amendment for each state in there, but I am only one person, so I don't live in every state. But if we had a couple of people from each state that are putting stuff in there, there could be a little summary at the beginning. This is what it's like here. This is the laws, maybe a little consistent check sheet or something, like a little infographic that quickly shows everybody the status, and then people can keep that up to date with things as they change. Then each law or whatever situation that might be going on there, if there's people monitoring these areas, then we've got a place, a resource that we can go in these discussions and go, what's it like there? Oh, let's go double check. I don't know if you guys remember, there's been resources throughout the years online. You remember carry.org, CARRY.org? Anyone? When the internet first started, right after AOL, MySpace, in that time frame, there was this thing called carry.org, and it was a guy going to law school, and he basically posted a website, which was the only resource of its kind that had all the reciprocity and situations for CCW around the states. And back in those days, it was a forum-based internet, so most of the internet was all forum-based, and people would link to that, and that guy would keep that site updated, and that became a consistent element, a consistent resource that we're all able to monitor. Since then, other organizations like NRA and others have tried to create those, but not consistently, and they can never put the passion into it. When it's a task of a company, or it's a task of an organization, it's not going to have that same passion as someone who lives there and is like urgently trying to let the rest of the world know their plight. So just want to throw that in there, that's sort of the idea of that Every Second Matters project. Now, it's not so whatever rigid and organized that like there's rules and guidelines and write-ups that tell you how to do it, but it is not quite an empty slate. It's a whole bunch of 50 empty slates over there that are all set up and organized and with a pretty fucking solid pretty solid platform. Feel free to take advantage of it and use it. And if you're frustrated, take it out on freaking internet, like wail on it. But, if you're frustrated for an hour, do some effort towards making the internet better, making the world better. And trust me, after an hour, you feel better. You feel like you've accomplished something. You've left something behind that will be on the internet forever, right? If it's not perfect, you can always go back and update it. That's the beauty of the internet. And I'll just throw in there too, if you get frustrated, the nice thing about being a creator, someone who has a camera and enjoys being part of this whole thing, is turn around and go play with something, reload, go shooting, like look at a catalog and daydream about spending $500 or something. But you can have fun. We don't have to constantly be worrying about the politics and that, you're allowed to have some fun too.
Yeah, you're right. As I said, that's what I've been doing. I've been digging myself in this hole of 24/7 negativity, and it's wearing on me. Get out of it.
If you want to see something really fun and have a nice laugh, I have a playlist of, it's 58 videos right now, but of the blind challenge. You can watch these sighted guys taking apart these guns, and it's hilarious. Some of them are hilarious. I mean, and it makes you feel good. So, yeah, go check them out.
Yeah.
And that wasn't really a joke. That was being serious.
No, but you're right. I mean,
there's a lot of good stuff out there.
I moved here to have a better life, right? But in these 2 months I've been here, I haven't even reloaded one bullet or one car. I haven't done anything. That I haven't even been shooting since I've been here. Because I've got myself in this rut and I need to get out of it. So I'm going to switch off from doing this 24/7 news crap. Because all it's doing is wearing me out.
Are you looking out the window?
Well, no, because I moved to a different room. The only one I got a window here, but it has the view of the church.
Okay, it doesn't look at the mailbox.
No, it doesn't look at the lawn walking by.
See, that's probably part of your problem.
Well, I moved it back here in this back room, to clear up my room because it was looking kind of.
Is that in Tony's room?
Yeah, it's in my room. The ass.
I tell you.
I'm in Tony's room here. I'm taking up half the room with my little office here behind me.
Yeah, and the rest of it's with crap.
Yes.
He's got enough room for a nice little fold-out cot.
I could make room for a fold-out cot. One of those army cots made out of canvas. Yeah, I can get one of those in here. So
I have actually never went back to looking at the news like I did.
Yeah, but I plan on giving it up too. And I've also noticed I listen to a couple of gun radio channels too, and they've all of a sudden for the last couple of years since we had the House, the Senate, and the presidency, all gun-ho, all happy stuff. Now that we lost the House, they've turned so negative and made it seem like the world's coming to an end in the United States. Which doesn't help either. So I need to stop listening to those too.
Well, I believe that there's a certain amount of that sells. So, it's driven by profit.
Yes. Yeah.
And
as we said before, the NRA, all them, so they seem to. That's how they get their money, by saying this is happening. We need your support. The
NRA ILA is a decent source, and the GOA is. I don't see a hell of a lot from 2AF, but those two are pretty good about keeping up with national stuff.
Yeah.
So I get notifications on stuff that I really need to pay attention to, and I don't have to look at all of this.
The Second Amendment Foundation, they actually, believe it or not, 80% of the court cases that are done by the Second Amendment Foundation.
I wasn't hacking on them. I was just saying that I don't see this stuff from them like I do the NRA ILA.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff you do see, I mean, because I see the stuff that as they think concerns me because it's only in my state. A lot of the stuff is state specific, but I can honestly say I didn't see anything from Washington. I mean, I live in Michigan, of course, but I didn't see anything from Washington before that stuff happened. And I kind of wish that they would do more of a, yeah, here's your state, here's, stuff to take action on, whatever. But, this is also stuff that, other people are having to take action on. So, and that's one thing I would like to mention that I didn't think about it before because I like doing organic emails and that kind of stuff. But with the GOA, when they send you this take action, where it's the quick little email and it automatically sends to your representatives and whatever, that you can use multiple times. So you can put a favorite on that email and go back every day, once a day or whatever, and keep sending them and change it a little bit. I mean, I don't send their stuff, but
I was going to say another thing you can do is you can edit it, take their stuff out of it, and put your own stuff in it.
Yes, but what I mean though is it sends it, and it automatically sends to both your representatives or whatever, and so the ones that are supposedly supposed to have your ear or their ear, however that is worded, whatever. But you can use it over and over and over and over. I mean, don't do it all in one day because then that looks like spam or something. But once a day, go back. I mean, it doesn't take anything, 5 seconds to fill it out. And if you have an email that you've written, you can cut and paste it in there, just blow out their stuff, and send one every day. Where people say, "Oh, it doesn't matter." We've gotten those arguments before. I don't care if it doesn't. You think that all they do is delete it and it doesn't matter. If you do it every single day, and 10 people do it, they don't see you as one person. They look at you and say, "Well, if one person's emailing, that's probably a group of people, that kind of feel the same way." I mean, I don't know percentages or whatever, but if I got an email from a parent, if I'm a school and I have one parent that sends me something, maybe I don't look at it as much. But if I have two different parents, two different classes send me something, that might mean that there's 5, 6 parents possibly, because some people feel the same way, but they're too lazy, so they're not going to email. But voting day or whatever. So I don't know. I think a lot of that, where people say, "Oh, it doesn't matter, they just delete it or whatever." I don't care. I'm still going to do everything I can. I'm going to send the emails. And like I said, that thing is, you send them once a day as long as you save that email, and they'll send them every single time. So,
for example, here, every time I've ever sent email to Dick Durbin, he's always responded. So somebody's looking at these things, at least enough to get my return information at some point. It's always been crap because, Durbin's.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I used to get White House was his name up there in Rhode Island. He would always reply to mine, too. If somebody in his office was doing it, would say, but the first line was the same every time. "I believe in the Second Amendment, but."
Well,
I got to give credit to Durbin because up until the last one I got back from him, none of them ever seemed like a form letter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this last take action that I believe it was beginning of last week or something, I actually got information back that I'd never got before, from somebody that I hadn't heard of. Because a lot of times, I mean, when I click those things, it'll say recipients. Well, unless you go through and read exactly who it's sending to, because, if you modify that first one, that is just one of them. Because there's like layers where they got like 3 emails or whatever. There's 3 different people. And so, you can click to the next one and change that too. Because if you just change the top one or whatever. Anyways, I had got a response back from somebody I didn't even know about. it wasn't part of the original list that, I used to email, another district in my area, I guess.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, just paying attention to some of the little things, because obviously they have people that go through and know where to send stuff, but having those things, kind of a log is so that you can go back several times and use it. I mean, it makes it easy if you're not, one to, I don't have time to email and I don't have time to write. I mean, at least those are doing something. If not, it's making some, some punk kid, have to delete a lot. I don't care.
Anyway, before we get carried on, because we're on the hour now, or just past. Let me do my next email prize for the All-American Patriot hat. This is an email prize. You email to rickslifeasIseeit@gmail.com or spottedrick@gmail.com. Now, the question I have, the quiz. Now, I'm not a religious guy, and it's you don't have to be. I mean, it's sort of like a religious question, but if you're not religious, you can just look it up on Google. You know what I'm saying? And just type in what I'm asking, and it'll give you the answer. But here it is. This was sent in by one of our listeners. That's why I'm using it. It is well known that in the story of Noah, he took 2 of every animal onto the ark. However, he took more of animals that they were used for food. How many of each clean animal did Noah load onto the ark? Does that make sense? We know he took the animals 2 by 2. Everybody's heard the song and read seen the movie. But he also, for eating purposes, he also took how many animals, they called it clean animals, how many did he take onto the ark? And I want to know how many. It's a number. So there we go. You can find that on Google. You don't even have to open the Bible for it.
I didn't even know that was a thing. Never heard of it.
Yeah, I've read the Bible a whole bunch of times, and I've never seen where he said he was going to eat any of the animals.
Oh, it's in there.
No, because with the tigers and all the bears and shit would have need to eat something, right? They're not going to just eat the 2 giraffes. There's no giraffe.
Well, that's where they had the unicorns, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's not forget the messenger doves and crows.
Yeah.
It does say it in there. I said I don't want to be religious or anything, but it is in there. It's a little paragraph in there, but you can just type in Noah, how many animals did he take, and it will show you up on Google. You don't even have to crack open a Bible if you're not into religion. So,
I got a good question for you for next week.
Just email it to me.
Okay.
And I will use it. I don't know what I'm going to give away, but I'll find something.
Yeah, I'm a little swag poor myself.
Yeah,
this weekend.
I'm swag poor too.
You can just start giving away Tony's stuff.
Yeah.
I don't got no stuff.
Yeah, well, he hasn't brought his stuff over here yet. But once he starts bringing it over here, I can give away guns and all kinds of shit.
Hell, I'm in no hurry to pack up, can't you?
No. So that was the question for this week's quiz. So I said you can find it on Google. I know. To me, I said a listener sent it to me, so so I used it. I thought it was a good question myself. And when I saw the question, I said that ain't in there. But I actually cracked open the Bible and looked, and it is in there. So, but I also typed it in Google too, and I found it on Google too. So there you go. Anyway, moving on. So anybody wants to answer that one, it's rickslife@gmail.com or spottedrick@gmail.com. Okay. Any you guys, what else you want to talk about? You got anything?
Well,
I'm
I don't know.
listening.
It's a little hard for me because I do a show in the morning too.
Oh yeah. So it's let's see what else I got on my list here. Stuff we do. I mean, I was
What's that shirt? What's that shirt all about?
Well, this shirt is a YouTube Hickok 45 T-shirt.
Oh.
It says Hickok 45 right here. It's a YouTube sign. That's you know, I got this before I even came on to gun channels. You know, I said when I first was getting into guns, I came across Hickok, and I liked it, and I like this T-shirt. You know, that's before I realized how bad they are. But it's only been in the last sort of 18 months they've been hard on us, on the Second Amendment people. But you know, hey, we got gun2.org. We got Gunstreamer. You know. But right now, unfortunately, until the other two get bigger, you know, YouTube is the biggest game in town right now.
Yep.
We have the biggest chance of getting out to people.
I use Mozilla Firefox once in a while because I use different browsers, and I did a search, just a basic search, and every other result on the videos, first listed YouTube, the second one was Gunstreamer, and it went to, I guess it might have even had YouTube on there, I don't know. But it surprised me because it allowed you to select what platform you wanted results from. And it was kind of interesting because if you do it on Google, it's just all YouTube garbage. I mean, it's just straight through. But I don't know if it's what search engine I've got default on there right now. I don't know if it's Bing or Duck Goose or whatever the hell it is. But yeah, it was just odd. It was surprising to see that the results were categorized, and it actually allowed you to pick what you wanted to see. That was kind of interesting.
When I first got into enjoying gun channels, I would type on my phone just gun channels, and then click that, and in Google it would bring me right to the sign up page. And now the first result when I type in gun channels, just gun channels on my phone, brings me to YouTube. So I have to type in gunchannels.com in order to get directly to the sign-up page.
Really?
Yeah.
They're working against us. They're working against us.
That's probably why we need a lot more people to when you do a search like that, instead of clicking on the first one, go down until you find it and click on that. So it comes up more as a more popular result.
For a while there with Marco, when we started Gun Channels, 2013. So in 2014 or something, Marco started doing the Gun Channels Instagram. And then in 15, it was pretty big. And by the end of 15 into 16, it was massive. Marco really knew what he was doing. And then we turned the Gun Channels one into its own and let Marco go with his Gun Channels _ one, right? Because he's just wailing on it. So he's using Gun Channels with an underscore at the end for his channel name on Instagram, and he's got 300,000, 360,000 something subscribers over there. So it's a pretty large channel, and he's a reposter, so he encourages people to use the hashtag Gun Channels, and then that way that's how he finds them, right? To repost their pictures. So because that was the way he set it up, and he become so large, and people were interested in participating with his project there, you would type in hashtag, number sign or whatever, pound sign, GUN, and then C, and that hashtag, that beginning of typing out the word Gun Channels, would show the autocompletes, right? You'd see the suggested things that it thought you were trying to type in there. And for a while there, Marco was above gun control. So when people were typing in hashtag gun control, above their search, they saw gun channels. So that was pretty fucking wild for a while. And then gun control has surpassed it now. But for a while there, Marco's individual efforts encouraging others to use the gun channels hashtag was able to make it so that if someone, just started typing in GUNC into Instagram, gun channels came up before gun control. And that's pretty neat. That's a true Al Gore's rhythm running, and Marco not manipulated it, but Marco had influence on a true algorithm until something like what you're explaining over there on Google. That's where they see the algorithm happening and the effects of it being natural. And Google has no issue at all with saying, this is what's naturally showing up with our machine, but we'd rather see this show up. So they'll tell their machine, do everything, according to our, the way we programmed you. However, if your results are in this parameter, then change your results to what we want. And that's the difference between a true, glimpse of a true logarithm and, a manipulated one like we see in the searches. And it's their property. They can do it all they want, but just be aware that we do have influence. We do have an ability to change things, and nothing's for certain. Like nothing in the world is permanent. Certainly not on the internet. So just like mowing lawns or anything else, we can have little victories like that, but we don't get to say, okay, we're done and we can go fishing for the rest of our lives because we finished it. Like there is no finish.
Well, that's one of the things that I wanted to bring up is the sitting back and taking it easy. I'm new, and I'm not afraid to admit that I'm not as experienced as everybody else when it comes to the firearms and the 2A community. But it seems to me like, and I could totally be wrong because, like I said, I don't know. But it seems to me like people only get involved when something bad happens. When there's a mass shooting and then there's a bunch of politicians screaming about gun control is when people get up and involved. Now, like I said, that's just from what I noticed from the news and popular media and stuff. Am I wrong, or is it? Are there a lot of people out there active when good things happen? Like when you get a victory, if you're a football team, you win a game, you don't take off until the next game. You practice during the week. So is that like something that happens when we get a victory? Do we move forward, or do we sit back and just wait for something bad to happen? Or is that too much of a broad question?
This time, as soon as I heard Trump won, the next day I was on here harping about taking shit back. And there was a little bit of momentum that way at first. With the National Concealed Reciprocity and the silencers coming off the NFA and stuff like that. Then Vegas happened. And I don't know why, but it just died with that. And, none of us that were going to be affected by these laws had diddly shit to do with Vegas, but we're all paying for it now. I don't know.
We're paying for it in that the hearing protection and the what was it called? National Reciprocity died because of it too, and we allowed them to die. We sat around going, "Uh-oh, better put our tail between our legs and sit here cowering because they're yelling." Like this is not the time to get up and assert ourselves. This is the time to curl up and pee on the floor, which is basically what we did.
Well, you hear the politicians say it all the time after one of these shootings. The left will come out and say, we need to get rid of the guns, and then the right will come out and say, this isn't the time to talk about gun control. Wouldn't that be the exact time when something bad happens by somebody who's misusing stuff to say, hey, that's what we've been screaming about? We've been saying over here, properly store your firearms, properly transport your firearms, get training, learn what's best for you. That guy doesn't represent us. We've been talking about how bad he is for us the whole time.
No, disagree. That's a natural tendency for sure. We do that. That's what is done by individuals and organizations, and it's been done forever. And that's the ambush. And I've been resisting against that for a while. When they, and I think at the time, the largest fan of Alan Corwin, but this is something I got from his philosophy on stuff. That's not the time to concede to their perception of the way things are. When they say this thing happened, shame on guns, our anticipated reaction from them, right? What they anticipate our response is going to be is exactly what you said, because that's the natural response to say, hey, that's that guy, not me. But everything that you said there, they can then use, because it all goes along with their perception that guns are the problem, that laws are the ways to solve it, and we're somehow dodging the issue. Instead, we should be challenging them when they say that at an opportunistic time when they are about to exploit atrocity, right? A deliberate attempt at murder using a specific piece of property based on their knowledge, the bad guy's knowledge of how the media is going to use that specific device that they decided to use. When they exploit that situation, we need to be challenging why they're not what they're suggesting, but why they're choosing that time to suggest it. So instead of saying, yes, you have a valid argument, but this is not the time to talk about it, which is really what we're saying when we say this is not the time to talk about it, we should be saying, how dare you suggest that this has anything to do with anything? Like, how dare you exploit this again? You are an exploiter. We have so much ammo, and I'm using that deliberately, at our disposal because they do the exact same thing every time. They exploit. They attempt to exploit every single time. And shame on us for doing the exact same anticipated response every single time, which gives them more ammunition to use against us. These are people that understand this is the problem, but because of the right, because of this, because of XYZ, fill in the blank, because of they're not going to talk about it right now. They know that this is the situation, but they're not going to talk about it because of this. That's the ambush that they create. Look, this is the time to talk about it, but they won't. We should be challenging them on why are you suggesting now is the time to talk about this, which is a different angle and still gives us a chance to challenge their exploitation of an atrocity, and at a time when it's the time to do it because they're accusing us. But then now, like you just said, now is the time when we should be efforting towards challenging what they suggested, but not at the time that it's happening. We should be challenging them as to why they would even bring it up. That's a horrible thing for them to do, completely politically driven. They exploit the situations and the victims.
Well, see, that one of the things that really stands out about Vegas and hurts us is the fact that our big go-to argument can't be used, because if everybody in that freaking concert had been armed, they wouldn't have done a damn bit of good with it. That, boy, it sure makes it hard to believe that whole damn thing wasn't some sort of setup from what, because it was almost perfect for their narrative.
Well, the big thing with that, you had just mentioned, I had to step out, but where you mentioned that we had kind of momentum prior to that, and then once Vegas happened, I mean, everything just, the wind came out of the sail and everything slowed down. But if you remember, the whole focus on our side after that was writing the ATF, doing all those letters. That's the only thing that seemed like anybody was focused on, was just writing those letters. It wasn't anything else besides that. It was kind of like we got, so I don't know if it's like tunnel vision or not, that it was, I don't know. I don't know if that's a part of it, but it seemed like that was the only thing that anybody was talking about. Obviously besides, conspiracies and, what had actually happened and stuff, because there was no information out there. but it was more of, you know, sticking your finger in the dike kind of thing, where it's leaking a little bit. Oh, we got to all focus on this one spot. Now, I don't know, does that stand out at all, or what do you think?
There was a couple of things that happened with the NRA doing their thing with the being willing to throw bump stocks under the bus, maybe. I think people in the gun community actively want reasons to oppose the NRA, and I don't know why. But I mean, it seems like every time they turn around, they got people pissed off at them, and that time was stupid. I mean, I know what their thought was, but it was ignorant to try that, because now we ended up with none of it. But their thinking was to, you know, give up bump stocks for the concealed carry reciprocity. And we still don't got carry concealed reciprocity, so I don't know.
But what didn't help us on that? If you remember back when the shooting happened and Trump had his round tables open to the TV, and he had Feinstein sitting next to him, and she was peeing herself because she was so happy that he was doing something about gun control. Solis, the one that got shot out there on the baseball field, said, they wanted suggestions. He said, concealed carry reciprocity. And Trump said, this is the wrong time to do that. And from then on, it died.
Well, see, I don't know. I mean, they can say whatever they want, but you know, when we're the ones that really make things go and stop, isn't it? I mean, if we still keep the momentum, I mean, I don't know what there's. I mean, obviously at the top they can snuff things out or whatever, but
hold on. I agree with you. I think that you expect that like anything is ever changed because 14 people got up and said blah blah blah, and then somebody heard it and things changed because of it. That's not how it works, right? You affect change by being persistent, having a specific goal, working towards it, and then not stopping, right? Efforting. So you change culture in the process, and you change the window or whatever that thing is. So if we want something that's over here and it seems unattainable in one step, you continue to work towards it, and the steps become evident. Even if the steps to achieve the goal, which seems out of reach, don't appear apparent, just like the high peak might seem like it's just right there, but every time you keep climbing, you find out that you're summiting a foothill, and you have to go down, and then you have to come up again, and you still see that peak up there, and it seems out of reach. Well, you're never going to get there if you sit down, and you're never going to get there complaining about how many peaks you've already climbed to get to the one you want to get to. You teach your kids that this is the way we do it. I keep saying mowing grass, but maybe a better way to say it is you keep summiting peaks until you get to the final ridge. You can get to where you're going, and then you find out there's another destination. So I think that if you expect to affect change by one effort or one voice, that's unrealistic. And we don't expect that from anything else, and we don't see that in history. So it's just, we have to be aware that that's unrealistic. Instead, we put deliberate effort out consistently. Others see that effort. The effort is now being able to be done not by us talking to each other at a gun show, which is what it was like for some of us. All of us are old. We all remember what it's like going to a gun show and talking in these kind of conversations, and they would go to the air, they would hit the other person's ear, and then that was the end of it. We're having this conversation now, and it's hitting our electronic microphones, and it's being recorded on Google's tape somewhere, and it's being distributed around the internet anytime right now, and anytime in the future anyone ever wants to see this. Information doesn't die. Ideas don't just disappear anymore. It accumulates. All of our continued effort will put a consciousness out there that there is a difference. There are people that want that. Your efforts accumulate. Your efforts are seen by others, and they are inspiration. And that's how we affect the overall goal we're looking for. So if we expect that tomorrow, what the fuck? We're not 10, not pushing for Christmas, right? Just keep working and don't expect a big pat on the back every time. And, learn, change, figure new things out, and it'll get easier. And eventually what we'll get is a time when we have no NFA. Everyone will be running around having good fun with firearms. Technology will catch up to our thirst and our unquenchable thirst for ammunition. We'll come up with better, less dangerous, and more fun ways to have recreational shooting, which get us ready for the ultimately deadly firearms that we'll have, which will cease. People will cease to want to cause us harm once they know that we're ultimately prepared to defend ourselves. And it all makes a world closer and closer to a Star Trek time when everybody's just happy and enjoying themselves, and no one fears each other because no one fears each other.
Well, now, in Star Trek, when Sulu found that nice Smith & Wesson police special, Kirk took it away from him. He couldn't have the gun.
There's always going to be assholes. That doesn't mean we don't want to work towards the part where we have a replicator. Every time you're like, I want to play with a Liberator this afternoon, you go tell your gun replicator and it 3D prints your Liberator. You shoot it a couple of times and you go, nope, I need to go back to 9mm. 45 is too much for me. And then you go have it, return that into some kind of 9mm you want.
Because you got some space girly wrists.
Yeah.
Like by that time, no gravity.
Exactly.
There has always been, and there always will be, people who feel that rather than working for or to earn whatever resources they want to have, to shortcut whatever system is in place. Those people have always existed from the days of the caveman, jealous of what the next caveman had, and would go over in those days with his club, and if he had to use it to go get the resources he wanted, he would. And that's the nature of man, and that will always be there.
Well, now, if we were acting that way,
some of those cavemen said, hey, go grab me more of those berries, to his girl cave lady, and she grabbed more berries tomorrow, and then he took half of those berries and traded that guy for that extra squirrel. So I agree with you that bad things happen, but obviously we have civilization because more good things happened even since those old days.
There will always be a need, as an example, to defend oneself. And it's not just about defense. I get that. I'm just using that as an example.
If you're thinking about that in that particular fashion, we ain't that way in the gun community because we're not rising up armed going against our government. Which, I don't know, maybe we should be.
Sticking
that we're going to be.
Sticking to Star Trek, there will always be Klingons among us who, when they have the opportunity, will strike.
I've also heard the fungus among us.
And there's that.
Hey, as long as it ain't a tribble.
I was just going to bring up the tribbles because they're nice and cute and absolutely useless.
Speaking of tribble, where is Night Strike?
He's in the he's not in the hospital. He's at the hospital. Family member.
Okay.
Jonathan and friends.
Oh, it wouldn't be Ellis, would it?
He sent me an email saying he couldn't make it today because he's at the hospital with a family member.
Ellis went to work today, so I don't think he's in the hospital.
Yeah. When he said he was at the hospital, I thought, oh, God, he didn't shoot himself, did he? Because his aim's so bad.
No, he was field tripping on.
Yeah. Well, at least my ears are feeling better.
Hey, Dano, good for you to show up.
Okay, I got a question.
Really loud if you want, Dano.
That's okay.
I got a question since we got some heavy hitters in here.
Yes.
I have, with the SIG, the Equinox that I have, the P238, it has the ambidextrous safety. All right, and it's probably the same as the 938 or any other ambidextrous safety. I have the left side, the driver's side, is stiff, right? The passenger side, which is the right side, is a little loose. Now, are they pinned? How does that work? I haven't been able to One side kind of jiggles a little bit. I'm not keen on anything jiggly on my pistol. Do we know how are they normally pinned together like a one piece?
I only have one firearm that has dual safeties like that, and it's a rifle, not a pistol, and it's an AR. So I can't directly help you out with the design of it. I mean, they may use a similar design, but they may do something completely different.
Yeah, so I just didn't know if they had a screw, or some kind of to tighten each side together.
I got
just a maybe thing here. Maybe that safety is operating hardware on only one side of the gun, so there's a longer length of that safety mechanism that you activate on one side than the other, so the movement is multiplied because of the distance difference.
Well, I can hold one side tight, and the other side I can there's a little play, where if you had horns of a goat and you grabbed them and you can wiggle one back and forth kind of thing, where it's like they're just loose however they connect together.
Yeah, I mean, I can explain to you in just general terms if you care to know what went on to AR is like.
No, I know.
Okay.
Just what were you saying, David? You said you had one?
Yeah, I thought so, but my it's the P20 P320, and it doesn't have a safety on it. But I'm looking at one of my other guns right now that's got the ambidextrous safety to see what it looks like.
See, as far as what I found is you remove the slide, right? You flip your safety clockwise up until the spring and the detent thing come out, right? To remove the safety, right? And then it says, okay, then you drop the hammer and then you keep rotating it clockwise, and then you can pull it out. Now, I don't know if you pull it out off the top or, if I don't know if they're actually connected or, pinned, or there's some kind of set screw or some kind of something. I just couldn't.
They have to be connected somehow.
Yeah, I'm looking at. I've got a Ruger SR40, and it's got the ambidextrous safety, and it looks like it's just one plate.
Yeah.
That curves up into the front a little bit, because when you move the left one, the right one moves at the same time, so they're definitely connected somehow. But there's no pins or anything. It looks like it's like a half pipe. The left side comes out and goes underneath this underneath where the slide is and dips down into the dovetail, and then comes up on the right side.
Yeah. Well, we'll see with this one. It is basically like looking at it from the side. You rotate it up and down, basically, right? So it swings. The other one, the play that I have is like it's like if you were going to turn, flip the safety up to lock it. It's in that same motion as the play, so it's not like it's flopping out or anything. It's just doing the same thing. I don't know. I just thought that somebody might have
a 320.
It's the 238, but it's the Equinox, so it's got the ambidextrous. The regular 238 just has the one on the one side. So it's the same as the 938, I believe. I mean, it should be because I believe all the 938s, the P938, which is the 9mm, have the ambidextrous. So I just thought I'd throw it out there if there was somebody in the chat or anything, but that's no big deal.
Yeah, I mean, because the actual lever itself, how is that held on?
Because it goes right straight through the frame, right? From the left side to the right side.
The actual lever itself, the one that you actually move with your thumb.
I believe it's a one
How
piece.
is that held on? Is it pushed on, or is it screwed on, or is it,
That's kind of what I'm trying to figure out, because I don't know if, say, the one that's on the left side of the pistol, if the shaft is connected to the shaft that goes straight through the frame. Now, I don't know if the one on the right side is just pressed onto that shaft, or it's part of that shaft as a one-piece unit.
Well, just take it apart and look at it.
Yeah.
Well,
that's the thing with that.
A question: do you have a gun buddy that's sighted?
Oh, yeah, eventually. I just noticed it today because I went to the range and shot, I don't know, 3 or 4 boxes through it. Mm-hmm. And it was just,
it is separate pieces on each side.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I knew that okay. Does it show how they're connected, though?
God, I'm not seeing it. It looks like.
Is it like an engineering diagram, or what sort of?
This is what I'm looking at. It's actually a picture of a tech mat with the exploded gun and parts list on it.
Oh.
Which it was just one of those technical things just to throw out there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Night Strike's not here to answer this, but John Brown Productions in the chat says, I have owned several 1911s and still have 3. Still can't figure out how Night Strike cut himself on one.
He put this serum backwards. Well, something he had put in, and he was pulling it out, and that's without the grips, and some of that stuff on the inside is a little sharp. So, I mean, joke wise, it's he cut himself, but there is sharp stuff on there.
But he went to his CCW course the following day with a cut finger and 2 passed.
You might be able to ask Obnoxious Patriot. He might know about that.
Okay. Yeah, I just thought I'd throw it out there just as a we're trying to drag Rick's chat out as long as we can, anyways. So
hey, we've gone longer than we ever have so far.
It's okay. I got more questions if we need
them. Throw them out there.
I'm looking at various diagrams on this thing, and I'm not seeing anything except the 2 pieces that are called safety. Thumb safety.
Okay. My first P238, I had taken it apart, and while I was messing with the grips, the safety actually flipped up, and my spring and the little detent and all that fun stuff inside came out. And instead of me messing with the safety, I had just bought the pistol, so I ended up sending it to SIG, and they redid everything and gave me new grip panels and all sorts of stuff with the thing for free, and they sent it back. So I didn't really get a chance with that one, but that only had a safety on one side. So I don't know. And they get really leery about anybody messing with anything on the frame part, as far as the safety and all that stuff, from what I hear. Because I looked it up and just to kind of get some info on, if there was anything about, hey, why is this loose or whatever, but I couldn't find anything today.
Numeric has a good source of schematics.
Okay.
That's where I would probably send you, but I didn't see anything that holds them together per se. I'm sure there has to be, but I didn't see what it was.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure, I'm not going to have, carry it or anything until I get it, straightened out.
I do have something I'd like to share. You guys were earlier talking about Second Amendment and participating in more than just your state and on the national level. Earlier this week, I received a reply from the state of Ohio. And for those that don't necessarily know, I don't live in that state. I live in Illinois. To an email I had sent them in response to a proposal that was going through their state at the time 3 months ago. And I'm just simply sharing this, that these people, even if you aren't a member of that state or a resident of that state, they do look at those emails. They do count them. And in this case, in the state of Ohio, they actually responded back to me. So I'm sure that's going to vary from state to state, but as I think an encouragement that it's not a dead end. It's not a something that you do and nobody ever responds. That's not true. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Hell no. Even that leftist Dick Durbin always responds.
Well, anyway, guys, as Tony said, either I get hungry or it's the cats. It's coming, it's heading towards 5 o'clock, and the cats are starting to wake up.
Are the cats getting hungry?
Yeah, I normally feed them at 5.
They might be eyeing you up.
But they are. They're starting to stir.
Well, hell, it's only 10 till 4 here, so.
Yeah, you got plenty of time.
Hour.
But it's not here. In each time it's, like as I said the other day, I went to the doctor's, and he's 9 miles down the street, and it's in Central Time.
Yeah, just look out your window. You'll see.
I found out where it actually changes is I had to cross. It's a little town called Bristow or something. I had to cross over I-64. As soon as I crossed over I-64, that's where it changed.
So are most of the things that when you have to get in your truck and drive for appointments or do things of daily living, are most of your stuff in the Eastern time zone or the Central?
Yeah, most of it's in Eastern.
Okay.
Yeah, but if I start driving west, it goes into Central.
See, just 9 miles and you could be in the right time.
Yes.
And we have a whole nother hour to go.
That's right.
That's like living in Memphis, and you get on the freeway and make the wrong turn. Next thing you know, you're in Arkansas, and you have drive a half hour to turn around and come back.
The better yelling in Tennessee is driving through Knoxville. You get on whatever the hell that road is going through that goes to Knoxville, and you go a ways towards Knoxville, and all of a sudden you're in Alabama. Like, wait a minute.
The same thing is true for all 1,500 miles of the Mississippi. Every river town that's got a bridge, a town of size has got that, whether it's, St. Louis or whether it's the Quad Cities between Iowa and Illinois, or you just go up and down the Mississippi. You had that exact same, if you accidentally make the turn towards the bridge, you're not paying attention, whatever, it's going to be 20 minutes to a half hour till you get back in your own state.
Unless you go into East St. Louis, and you probably won't get back.
Now, I've worked in
or Alton, another wonderful city of Illinois.
There's nothing wrong with East St. Louis as long as you're well armed when you go there.
Yeah, where you stop and the stop sign's in a 5-gallon bucket of cement sitting in the middle of the intersection.
Yep.
No, that was actually in St. Louis.
The thing in Knoxville is the actual interstate just crosses over into Alabama just for a couple of miles for some reason. Then it comes back into Tennessee.
All right. Anyway, I'm going to start winding this down, so we're going to go through the panel to
candy ass.
Any shout-outs or plugs or anything you want to do. So we're going to start. I'm going from my end here. We're going to start with Tony.
Shit, I got nothing. Good day, everybody. Thanks for inviting me, all this and that. And catch us in Knives morning lunch hour show during the week. It's sometimes boring as heck. Sometimes it's fun. But you never know.
I normally pop in every now and then. Most of the time. I'm normally there every day. Yeah. I'm there normally, at least from 11 to 2-ish. Then I normally go have lunch and take a nap.
And those of you on YouTube, if you're not a member of Gun Channels, why the hell not?
Exactly. All right. Next in my line is the myth, the legend, the man, the patriot in the dark.
Oh, jeez. Well, thanks for having me.
I might consider that one an insult, especially the myth part.
Skipped right over Tony.
No, I did not.
I got Tony first.
I mean, with the compliments.
Oh, yeah. Well,
you said, okay, Tony, go.
I don't expect nor need compliments.
Your ego needs stroking.
But yeah, I appreciate it. Like I said, if you're bored and you got, a couple days, you can watch the playlist of the Blind Challenge. That's done and over with. All gifts have been sent yesterday, priority mail. So Insight Freedom and Travis T should have big videos because I stuffed them full of stuff. So now I am swag poor. So if anybody wants to push my name to the top when they're having their giveaways, just let me know. So
yeah, I'm swag poor too, by the way, people.
And this is the last time you'll hear from me as being young because my birthday's tomorrow. So I might pop into a thing, but I might be old tomorrow. Too old to get on. Catching up to Tony.
I'm not exactly a spring chicken.
Yeah, you're older than I am,
You're 21 now, Patriot?
Yeah. No, 18. Never been kissed.
You ought to pop up one of those videos that's kind of like from the blind perspective where it's just like 5 minutes black screen.
I did the first time I did the shooting, how a blind guy shoots and all that kind of stuff going to the range. I recorded the whole video. It was great. Loved it. I posted it private or unlisted, and I had Midnight Range look at it, and he's like, well, the lights are out, because I had the wrong lights on. I had the outside lights on, and it was the best because I had all the jokes about the little key fob getting shot and only cracked because I shot it with a 9. So all those good jokes I didn't have on there on the one that I actually released. But if you look on my channel, there is one that says bloopers, and it's the full video, and it's totally black, the whole video. So it is out there.
Yeah.
But today I might do a video about tearing that buck mark down. I took it apart and cleaned it up today, so I'll probably do one on a video on it.
Yeah.
Because it's only a 22. It's pretty simple.
Well,
I don't remember. I had a buck mark, and I don't remember anything about taking it apart, so it must not be too damn hard.
It's just taking screws out and taking the top and take the barrel off, all that kind of stuff. I didn't take the barrel off today, but.
All right, I'm moving along.
I was trying, Tony. You see me dragging my feet?
I know you are. Next on my thing here is just Dano. Any plugs?
I got just nothing.
All right, I appreciate you coming in.
I was going to say, but I do want to say thanks everybody that lets me in on the chats, because otherwise it'd be a one-way conversation, and God, that would get boring real fast.
Yeah. All right. Next is G-Webs. Any plugs or anything, G?
Sure. So thanks everybody for participating yesterday. That kept us going, and I've been setting up the shirt store. People are always asking about shirts, so all kinds of designs going up over on Spreadshirt. I'll be linking around to that for anybody that wants them. And we're going to be talking about 2A here. I've been waiting for you to end so I can go live with the Minuteman University show. So every Tuesday, every Saturday, I go live for a while. And if people want to join in, if you want to build something, or if you have questions, or if you built something and you want to talk about it, or if you want to offer advice or counsel to anybody else on something that you've experienced, the idea is to work together and accomplish more for the Second Amendment. On Tuesdays and Saturdays, I do that after Rick's show here.
Okay, great. And last but not least, David Kingpin Bowling.
Hey, thanks for having me. Always a good conversation. And today, just like every other weekend, today was probably the best show yet. I'm really glad I was able to sit in and listen to everything everybody had to say today. So make sure you go check out Rick's Life as I See It. Like, share, and subscribe. And tune in on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Wednesdays.
Oh, yeah. I
mean, you could do Tuesday too, but
I even wrote in the chat Wednesday.
I assumed you were plugging me.
Yeah, I wrote it in the chat properly. I wrote Wednesday in the chat. I just said Tuesday because I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
Hey, Rick, can I take a second here to show Roosted something out there? So Roosted was asking me something about Every Second Matters in the private message over on Gun Channels, and he's watching your show, so I can just show him right now.
Yeah.
So everysecondmatters.com, you just sign in, and then once you're signed in, his question was how to add an event, right? We have a tab over here for events, and there's no real way to add something necessarily. So the way that you do that when you're a member of Every Second Matters, that event that you're talking about, I just saw it on the main page there. I'm not sure who's hosting it. So, it says Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus, which is an awesome organization. You should definitely check that out. They should be in our 2-8 organizations here, right? So I'm gonna try typing in Minnesota, I guess, to try to find it quickly. Oh, they're not in there. So we need to add them as a business, and you can do that over here on the right. Go over to business home, and then there's a button over here on the right to add them. Once you've added them as a business, so I'm just going to grab AZCDL as an example. Once they're added as an organization in Every Second Matters, go to their events tab and create an event under that organization. So in other words, these events that show up are the events that these organizations are doing. So this was under NSSF, this was under NRA, and this was under the Outdoor Writers Association of America. So you can put the events in under the organizations, and that's what I was trying to explain on the instant message over there. And then that way the events aren't just random. The events are tied to an organization, and that way when somebody clicks on it and they might want to know something more about that event, they can go to the organization that's hosting it, and the people that are on Every Second Matters, like we talked about before, that are efforting to get their messages out there. In this case, the NSSF, but what you're talking about is that Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus, which is an awesome organization. I got to meet them a couple of years now at Gun Rights Policy Conference, doing excellent work. Thanks, Rick.
All right, no problem. Also, while we're on Every Second Matters, like everybody here, from whatever state you live in, just go over there and once a month add some anything gun related going on in your state. Just add it under your state. I mean, yeah, that's all you got to do.
Think of it like a place to write notes. Oh, I heard something happen. Go drop it on Every Second Matters and forget about it. And then whenever you get together like Rick's show, you've got it. Oh, I remember I posted something on Every Second Matters, and it's there for everybody in the meantime.
That's it, exactly. So I want to say thank you for everybody in the chat. John Brown Productions. Who else did we have? We had Vanessa, General Relativity. Who else was there? Duran Man, Rob D, New York Outcast, Unknown User. Hell, unless Richard Tibbetts was there, and a few others. If I missed you, I do apologize. Had Roosted Films. That was it. I want to say thank you. I'll be back again on Wednesday at 7 p.m. with Rick's Life as I See It, Shooting with Disabilities. I need to get more stuff on the disability side, you know. But so if anybody's got any ideas or anything that they do,
that's easy. That's totally easy. Just take something real heavy and drop it on your foot, and now your foot will be disabled.
Exactly. But no, if anybody's got any suggestions or say somebody, you know, I'm not, you know, there's if you have something that you do different shoot that might interest us, just let me know or ask to come on the panel and share what you do. I don't know. Say, I mean, I'm trying to, without sounding mean, say you only got one arm. Show us, you know, let us know how you shoot and load and rack your slide and all this kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff I'm looking for. So,
I got something for you to make a note of, Rick.
Yeah.
And that's having conversations with your doctor about any physical issues that are getting in the way of your shooting, because, you know, that's how I got my shoulders to get some relief, is I told him what I was doing.
That's a good idea. That'd be good topic for next time. For Wednesday, like I might bring that up.
Well, I don't know if I'll be here. I'm lucky to remember it, you know.
Yeah. All right.
I do know a guy that's got actually, I don't even know how many machine guns he owns, and he's only got like an arm and like a chunk of an arm, so that he uses a prosthetic to hold his machine guns when he shoots them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the kind of thing. If anybody knows anybody who wants to come on or tell us about it, I have no problem sending you a link for you to come on and talk about it on that Wednesday show. You know, because it's I started it mainly because me becoming disabled and can't move that well. My hand, I got arthritis in my hands and my shoulders and everything else. And it's just short things that I do to be able to go out and shoot. That's all.
And somebody was hassling you to start it too.
Yes.
I can't remember who that guy was.
No, I can't either. But I'm sure, was it the myth, the legend, the man? Might have been. Anyway, I'm going to call it a day. I'm just going to stop the broadcast. Thank you for all being here. And after here, you got the G-Webs with the Minuteman University. Will be coming on shortly.
Good day, everybody.
Thank you all for being here.